Alright guys, welcome back to another Roddy's Reviews. I just finished Wrestlemania and there is a lot to go over. I was going to do two videos but I decided not to, so I figured I'd wrap everything up in one video. We'll just go ahead and get this thing going. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so the night and day difference between night 1 and night 2 is insane. Sorry if you hear that in the background, that's my dishwasher, sorry. It is like night and day with night 1 and night 2. They are not even comparable. So for me, night 1 was very, very underwhelming as a product. And I'm saying that based on the matches, the quality, the amount of ads that we had. A lot of people are mad about some of the people that won. It's not that deep for me because like, you know, there's going to be people that you like that don't win. Unfortunately, that's just part of it. So for me, that's not a big factor in it. But let's go over night 1. So for me, the Usos and LA Knight beat the Vision and Speed. Whatever. I already went on record saying that I didn't think much of this match anyways. It was cool to see Speed get a little bit of a moment after the match. He hit that frog splash on Logan Paul. I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty, you know, it was a moment. It was cool. I give the match a 6 out of 10. I probably should rate it even lower than that, honestly. It is what it was. I didn't expect much out of it, so it was just a match. Jacob Fatu beat Drew McIntyre. That was alright. It wasn't bad. For an unsanctioned match, I feel like they didn't go super far. It felt like more of like a street fight in a way. So their unsanctioned match didn't go like insanely over the board. I feel like if they do unsanctioned, I feel like you need to go like over the top. You know what I mean? So it didn't really do that for me, but it was still a decent match anyway. And I definitely think it was like second best on the card for night 1. I give that like a 7 out of 10 personally. Then we go to the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Title match. I already knew that Nikki probably was not going to be cleared because of her ankle, and we got Paige returning with Brie Bella, and Paige was Nikki's replacement. Paige and Brie won the titles, which further let me know that the Bellas were going to win the titles anyways. So obviously, I was right in that, and I was right in that regard. So I'm cool with that. I give that like a 6 out of 10. It wasn't a terrible match. It was more so like, I knew it was going to happen, you know. The match wasn't awful. It was, you know, everyone did their part. The big part of why night 1 felt off was because, one, I feel like they put a lot of the lesser cared about matches on night 1, and I also feel like the crowd just wasn't into it. The crowd was dead for a lot of night 1, and as a consumer watching from the TV, not being in the crowd, when the crowd's dead, it drops the product so much lower. Like, it drops it down so much, and it doesn't make it harder to watch, but it makes it harder to enjoy sometimes if the crowd's not into it. So in Vegas, they were doing this on SmackDown, bro. I don't know what their problem is. They were not into it. And it also could be a thing of the shows just haven't been super interesting either. So it could be an issue on both parts. The shows aren't interesting and the crowds aren't into it. And at that point, your product's going to be kind of trash. It is what it is. Next match we had AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch won. Called that one as well. This was a match I didn't really care much for. I've always said that I thought AJ Lee was a nostalgia act. You know, no disrespect to her, I think she was a nostalgia act. I just didn't really care much about the match. I knew Becky was going to win. It feels like they're building something between Becky and Jessica Carr, the ref. It feels like they're going somewhere with that, but I also could be very wrong in that regard too. So I don't really know. I gave that a 4 out of 10. I didn't care about that match at all. Just at all. The next match on the card that happened was Gunther versus Seth Rollins. This was the best match of night 1. Easy. It wasn't even a competition. They went at it, bro. That match was insane. I thought those dudes were truly putting on a clinic, like for real. They did amazing. And then the Braun Breaker return at the end. Braun Breaker did come down. He took out Seth. He did cost him the match, which a lot of people figured would happen, which is okay. Sometimes wrestling fans need to understand this. Predictability is not always bad. It's not. Does it make it a little bit less exciting when it happens? Of course, but it's not bad. How it's being executed and if you're enjoying it is what matters. Predictability is not always bad. It's not. And, you know, a lot of people felt like Braun was going to come back at this time. So Gunther and Seth, they had a great match. I thought they, like I said, match of the night. I gave that an 8.5 out of 10. Great in my opinion. Liv and Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title. I thought that match was decent. It wasn't bad. It did what it needed to do. It felt rushed. A lot of the matches between both nights of WrestleMania felt very fast. Like they both felt like they lasted maybe 5-10 minutes apiece, and each of the main events probably went about 20-25 minutes. So like the matches felt very fast paced on this WrestleMania. I'm not sure if that was from a production standpoint or if that's just how it felt. Maybe it's just me, I'm not sure, but I know the matches felt very fast, and this one was one of them that felt very fast. Liv won. I think that was the right person to win. No disrespect to Stephanie. I said this on a Facebook post earlier. I think that Stephanie was a product of bad booking. So when Naomi got pregnant, had to give up the title, they immediately did, Stephanie versus Io, and Stephanie won. But right after Stephanie won that title, unfortunately, they started putting a lot of their bigger stars from Raw and SmackDown into the tag division, and Stephanie had no bigger stars. Stephanie had no bigger stars to fight and beat to make her run more credible. She was fighting a lot of lower level mid carders during her reign, and I mean that's not her fault. So honestly, she did the best with what she had, and like I said, I think she was just a victim of bad booking. So Liv's now champion, which is cool with me. I rated that match 5 out of 10. It was what it was. You know what I mean? Then during the attendance record segment that they do every year at WrestleMania, Bianca Belair returned, and now she's pregnant. So congratulations to her and Montez Ford. Put my boy Montez and Angela Dawkins back on TV. The tag division desperately needs the Street Profits right now. Desperately. We need the Street Profits, 100%. And then we get to the main event of night one, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. This match, for me, has some high highs and it has some low lows. So I feel like this match could have been really good despite the interference from Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. So the first beginning, literally before the bell even rung, Pat attacked Cody. Cody clears Randy, he clears Pat, and then he goes to put Pat on the table, and here comes Jelly Roll, and Jelly Roll does a splash and puts Pat to the table, and Pat gets stretcher away. And I'm just like, man, we don't need to be doing this, bro. And then Cody and Randy had a somewhat of a decent match. It was a good match. I definitely think that was probably best match of the night. And I think, actually no, take that back. No, that was not best match of the night. That was like third best match of the night. My bad. Gunther and Seth was best match of the night. I got my words mixed up. Sorry about that. No, Cody and Randy was definitely, it was okay. It was definitely okay. I rated it a 6.5 out of 10. And then, the normal referee knockout happened, of course. Pat comes down in the referee uniform, tries to count the 3. Cody kicked out. And then Randy RKO'd Pat, which was hilarious in my opinion. I thought that was great. And then, of course, he was distracted. Cody hit a crossroads, and he beat Randy. He kept the championship. I didn't want to see Cody win. I truly did not want to see Cody win. I feel like Randy should have won this match. I think this was something Randy could have benefited more from than Cody. I don't think Cody would have been hurt if he had lost. And then after the match, Randy takes the title while Cody's celebrating, hits him over the head, and punts him. So, and the show and night one ends with Randy standing tall over Cody, even though Cody won. So I definitely see a rematch in the future. I don't think this is over by a long shot. And typically Backlash is, if you've watched wrestling for a while, the pay-per-view after WrestleMania is typically a bunch of WrestleMania rematches. That's typically all it is. That's all it is. So I'm very much expecting a lot of rematches from both nights of WrestleMania to card Backlash. I very much am, in some way, shape, or form. But that was night one. It was underwhelming for me. I think between the way the product was shown, the ads were getting on my nerves, bro. There were so many ads. The matches felt very rushed. It didn't feel like WrestleMania for me. Night one, it didn't. I feel like I was watching. I feel like I was watching a higher end pay-per-view that WWE put on. It wasn't WrestleMania for me. It just wasn't. But we get to night two, and we start the night off with Oba versus Brock. incredible. It did not last long, but it didn't need to last long. It did exactly what it was meant to do. It put Oba over. That was all I wanted. I wanted Oba to win that match. The crowd wanted Oba to win that match. That crowd for night 2 was loud most of the night. They were into that match. And frankly, that was one of the best matches of the night. Just based on aura, energy, the crowd, the way both men were being shown. Like, honestly, that match was probably one of the best matches of the night in my opinion. And like I said, Oba went over. And then after Oba wins, Brock left his boots and his gloves in the ring in the middle, and you could see visibly on his face that he was crying, which is very rare. Like, his face was red. Paul Heyman started crying too, and they hugged it out, and it was very shocking, if I'm being honest. I didn't expect Brock to retire, and I think this is a way to write Brock off TV for a little bit. I think Gunther's favor is going to be asking Paul Heyman to bring Brock out for one more match. I think that's what the retirement's going to be for him. I do think he's going to retire in Minneapolis at SummerSlam. This was just a way to write him off TV for a bit. But it works because Oba looks strong in the match. He looks strong coming out of it. Brock, the legend being him, put Oba over, and that's amazing on him. I mean, if you know much about the backstage and the dirt sheets of wrestling and things like that, you know Brock is very particular about who he fights. He doesn't just fight anyone just for the hell of it. Brock is very particular about who he fights. So the fact that he did fight Oba, put him over, the last month of Raw, he's put Oba over almost in every single segment, then put him over at WrestleMania. I can't ask for more than that. You're building the future. You're building the future. That's exactly what WWE needs to be doing right now. Stop relying on these older guys to hold your company. Guys like Punk and Roman are not going to be here much longer. They're not. And that's just reality. Even Roman said that. Roman said he doesn't have much left longer. And I think Becky Lynch said it in an interview as well, that she's like, this last contract I signed is going to be my last. And you're going to see a lot of guys and girls who started when I did start to bow out in the next few years, which is very valid. Seth Rollins is going to be around. Becky Lynch is going to be around. Even guys that we don't even talk about, like Sheamus, he's going to be gone eventually. Like, there's so many veterans in WWE right now that are going to be gone. So with Evolve and NXT, they are starting to build up the future, and they need to keep investing in that. You know, it's just the best way to do it. The next match, I had to go back and watch some of this because I missed some of it. The ladder match, Penta retained. Called that. I 100% called that one. I called that one. Crazy. Spot fest. Told you guys it was going to be crazy. The match was amazing. It did exactly what it was needed to do. It was entertaining. It put on a show. It showcased the IC title in some of the best ways. I think they need to... I truly feel like if they're going to keep doing this 2-night WrestleMania thing they've been doing the last so many years, and they're going to keep showcasing titles off in this way, they need to keep doing ladder matches or multi-man matches for these mid-card titles. I think that's a great way to showcase it. It's a great way to keep everyone involved. You're putting your mid-card on there, and you're elevating the title by making all these guys fight for it. I think it's a great way to keep going. Next match on the card, I haven't been doing my ratings. I rated Brock and Oba 8 out of 10. I also rated the ladder match at 8 out of 10. I thought those matches were amazing. Trick Williams and Sami Zayn. So this match for me was slow at times. It felt like a match on SmackDown. And I also noticed this is kind of when the crowd started to die down a little bit. I started to notice that. The crowd started to die down a little bit. Lil Yachty came out with Trick Williams, which obviously we knew that was going to happen. But Trick won. Trick beat Sammy, which I said was the right call. I think that was the best call they could have made, and their match wasn't bad. It felt very average. Like I said, it felt like a SmackDown main event. If this happened on SmackDown, I feel like it could have been rated higher. But being that it's on a WrestleMania card, me personally, I'm holding it to a higher standard because it should be held to a higher standard. It's WrestleMania. Why not hold it to a higher standard? But yeah, Trick Williams won, man. I think that's amazing for him. I think it was definitely his time, and he's over, and they're striking while it's hot. Great for them. 6 out of 10. Next match on the card was Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. They changed it last minute to a street fight before the show started. They changed it to a street fight. That did not feel like a street fight. That felt like a no disqualification match with a couple weapons. That's all that was. And the crowd was dead during that whole match, bro. They didn't say they didn't hardly react to many things at all. And like I said just a few minutes ago, when the crowd's dead, it kind of drops the product a little bit. It kind of drops everything down and makes it not as interesting. So honestly, the match wasn't that much for me. It didn't do much for me either. Which, I mean, it is what it is. I think this was just a way to put Finn over, get him separate from the Judgment Day, and we keep going about our business. But also, it wouldn't surprise me if Finn and Dom had another match, whether it was on Raw or at Backlash. But Finn won. He came out as the Demon. That entrance was cool. I did enjoy seeing that again, and it was the right call to make with him winning. Rated at 5 out of 10. I didn't really care much about it, because it wasn't that interesting to me. Then we had Rhea and Jade. Another match I said didn't do much for me. This match wasn't that bad, surprisingly. Jade looked strong for most of the match. She looked pretty strong. She looked like she was actually in there as a champion, as a world champion. She was really putting on a show. It wasn't bad. Could it have been Rhea selling and Rhea helping her through the match? It's possible, but she showcased it and really looked good tonight, for sure. She really looked very, very good. Rhea won, which is fine. B-Fab and Michin came out to help Jade. We had an Io Sky appearance. The interference, obviously. But yeah, that match wasn't terrible. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Rhea's new world champion. I expected that to happen. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. You know what I mean? It wasn't bad. I definitely think the aura of Night 2 definitely overshadowed Night 1 by far. By far, it overshadowed it 100%. After that, we had another attendance segment. It involved Miz, Kit Wilson, John Cena, and also involved Danhausen. I mean, if you want to see midgets dressed up in white and black face paint jump Kit Wilson, and Danhausen does Cena's 5-knuckle shuffle, then I mean, you can go watch it if you want to. I feel like that was there for time killer. If I'm being completely honest, it was there for filler. Big time. Then we get to the main event. Roman and Punk. So, it started off hot. It started off very hot. They just went at it like I knew they would. And halfway through the match, I was thinking, this match doesn't need interference. It doesn't. Like, this match doesn't need interference. Because I know I called it that either the Usos were going to come out or The Rock was going to return. But, like, now that I sat there and watched that, it wasn't needed. The interference was not needed at all, regardless of what the build has been like. The match was not bad. The match was really good. I enjoyed it. There's a few questionable things that happened. Like, Roman took the steps and hit Punk in the face with it. There was just no DQ at all. The ref just kind of watched it happen. I'm just like, okay, this is what we're doing. All right, then. But overall, I think it was a good match. Punk bled a little bit. They just put on a very good main event show. If I had to compare the main events between Night 1 and Night 2, they definitely did better than Cody and Randy, in my opinion. They did way more. They did way better with. I don't want to say way better with less, because Punk and Roman had more time to build their feud, whereas Cody and Randy kind of got thrown together after Elimination Chamber. So I mean, I can't really say that, but at the same time, like, they executed their match a lot better than Cody and Randy did, if I'm comparing the main events of Night 1 and Night 2. Roman won. He is now world champion. And it's kind of interesting how it ended. So as they were fighting, Punk just got very tired. Like, Punk picked Roman up for the GTS and just collapsed. And it's kind of weird because, like, it felt almost anticlimactic when it ended. It felt like Punk was just gassed. He was tired. He couldn't go no more. And I was even watching it, and I was like, man, put him out of his misery. And that's literally what happened. I think Roman speared him twice, and that was the match. That was it. And I'm not mad about it. I'm very cool with it. It felt very anticlimactic the way it ended. A lot of people are very upset, though. A lot of people are very mad that Roman's champion, because we're thinking that's going to be another part-time thing. But I also seen some reports a while ago that if Roman ever did win a world championship again, his reign would not last nearly as long. So I have no idea how we're going to handle the title situation now. I'm not sure if Roman's going to be on TV weekly. I highly doubt it. But I also can't deny the fact that when Roman's champion, he brings a special, different kind of aura to that title. Because, yes, I'm not going to lie. I've said it before, I'm biased because I'm a Roman fan. But I'm also looking at it from a wider perspective. Whenever Roman's on TV, whether it's with or without the title, ratings are higher. More people are tuning in. When he had the title previously during his long 4-year run, he elevated that championship to new heights that it hasn't been at for a little bit. He made the title mean something again. And but I will say he was not defending it as much as he should have been. 100%. I think that got very annoying, and I think it also got very annoying towards the end too, when he wasn't defending and all his matches were ending the same by some type of bloodline interference. But I definitely think this time around it's going to be a little bit different, just based on he's not the same Roman that held the title before. He's taken some losses. That Roman before didn't lose in 4 years. This Roman we have now lost to Cody, lost to Bronson, lost to Solo. He's been pinned a few times. So has it humbled him? Maybe, maybe not. But we'll definitely see what happens on Monday Night Raw for sure. Because the Raw after Mania is supposed to be special, but we all know how that goes. But the one thing I will say, and I see them doing this, Roman's going to hold that title till at least Crown Jewel. I don't know when Crown Jewel is, but I'm willing to bet he holds it till at least Crown Jewel, because they're going to do Cody Roman 3. Nothing's on the line. No one's titles are on the line, but they're going to do They're going to do Cody and Roman 3 for that Crown Jewel championship, I bet. It would make a lot of sense if they did, because it gives us Cody and Roman 3 without anyone looking weak out of it. Like last year, Cody lost to Seth, but that wasn't a bad thing. Seth needed that win for credibility purposes. If Cody lost again, it wouldn't be a big deal personally. Just because I feel like Cody can eat a loss here and there. Roman, I'm not saying Roman can't lose, but it feels weird when he does. Probably just because I don't see it very often. It feels weird when Roman loses, and maybe that's just me, but it just feels odd when he loses, right? But yeah, that was our WrestleMania. That was WrestleMania 42. 43 is supposedly supposed to be in Saudi. Have no idea how that's going to go. Plans always change, as they changed for this year. They were supposed to be in New Orleans this year. But I think this one, Night 2 felt more like WrestleMania than Night 1 did, which is crazy because the last few years, I've always said Night 1 did better than Night 2. I've always said that. And this was the first year, in my opinion, that Night 1 did not do good as Night 2. It just didn't. Night 2 was definitely better by far and had less matches. It had one less match. So, yeah, that was WrestleMania. I personally think if I had to rate it all together as one event, I'm giving this probably a 6 out of 10. 6.5. Because, like I said, there were some high highs, but there were some low lows, bro. And this whole streaming on ESPN with all these, with all these ads and stuff, I don't really agree with that. I think it's kind of goofy. I think it kills the product a little bit, because like a match would end, WWE would show their own ads, and then ESPN would run a 5-minute ad right after that, and then they would do like a promo segment and run another 5-minute ad after that. Like, I got so tired of seeing advertisements during this WrestleMania. I get it. Companies want their money. They want to pay for these advertisements, but it's watering down your product so badly. It's very bad. And I really hope this changes in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think it will. I think it's something that we kind of just have to deal with at this point. But yeah, that was WrestleMania, and I think that we're headed into a different era now. I don't want to sound like Triple H, but I think we're headed into a different era now. I think a lot of the younger guys are going to be stepping up and doing a lot more, and a lot of the older guys are going to start taking some small steps back, and we're going to get back into the swing of things. You know what I mean? Let's push some of our newer people and have our older people start hanging back a little bit, put over people when they need to, and let's just look at the next generation. That's what I want to see going forward, for sure. But drop down in the comment section what you thought this WrestleMania was like. A lot of people hated Night 1. Some people even hated Night 2. But down in the comment section, let me know what your thoughts was. What was your favorite match, and which night you think did the best. Until next time, it's your boy Roddy. Deuces. I'm out.